Alright YouTubers, welcome back to War Thunder Ground Forces with the Angry Nerd. And today I thought we would take a look at the T26E1-1 Super Pershing. But before we get started, I'd like to bring your attention to the skin that's on this vehicle. It was created by WTrunner. Now I usually leave a link down in the video description, but he's deleted everything from that profile. But I still wanted to give credit where credit is due. Okay, so back to the Super Pershing. The T-26 tank was part of a series of medium/heavy tanks designed by the United States during the Second World War as a possible successor to the medium tank M4 Sherman. Almost immediately after the M4 Sherman was standardized, the U.S. Ordnance Department started work on a successor. In 1942, work began on a new tank through the M4X program. This led to several design initiatives. One of the designs was the T20 line of medium tanks, encompassing several developmental tanks using a common hull. The T20, T22, and T23 tanks differed primarily in armament, suspension, and transmission systems. All three tanks were rejected by the Armored Board, but the Ordnance Department continued their development, and one of the models, the T23, was seen as promising enough that an initial order of 250 tanks was placed in May of 1943. The design was classified limited procurement and was never standardized or issued to frontline units. But it did give the Ordnance Department a lot of vehicles to test, modify, and improve on. In July 1943, the Ordnance Department again requested that the improved versions, the T23E3 and the T20E3, be standardized as the M27 and M27B1. However, the request was rejected and neither design was accepted. Again, the Ordnance Department continued improving the design. 50 of the tanks were adapted to use the T7 90mm gun. That was the prototype of the 90mm M3 as its main armament. 40 of them were simple T23 upgrades with a new turret, but 10 were up-armored with additional armor on the hull. These two improved 90mm armed tanks were designated the T25 and the T26 respectively. The Ordnance Department decided that the electric drive on the two tanks added too much weight to the overall design and changed the transmission to a Torque-matic transmission design, and they were redesignated with an E1 to T25E1 and T26E1. Battlefield reports from Operation Overlord in 1944 stated that enemy anti-tank defenses were easily able to destroy the M4 Shermans, and troops were requesting a tank with more armor and a more powerful gun. These reports caused the Ordnance Department to prioritize the up-armored T26 and fixing any flaws in that design. The T26E3, in a bid for further testing, was sent to Europe for combat evaluation on the battlefields against German armor and proved very effective against German heavy tanks like the Panther and the Tiger. The T26E3 went on to be accepted into service in March 1945 as the M26 Pershing. The 90mm M3 gun of the T26E3/M26 Pershing was similar to the German 88mm KWK-36 used on the Tiger I, but in an effort to match the firepower of the new King Tiger's more powerful 88mm KWK-43, a new gun was developed and mounted in the T26E1-1 prototype tank in January 1945. The T-15E1 gun was 73 calibers in length and had a much longer high-capacity chamber. This gave it a muzzle velocity of around 3,750 feet per second. And with its APCR shot, it could penetrate a Panther's front armor at up to 2,600 yards or 2,400 meters. After being upgunned, the vehicle received the designation T26E1 Temporary Pilot Number 1, but it is often identified as T26E1-1 because of its turret markings, which it had before it was upgunned, as we can see in this photo here. The weight and extreme length of this larger cannon necessitated better stabilization. However, for the first two prototypes, this could not be achieved internally. This resulted in the addition of large stabilizing springs connecting the top of the mantlet to the top of the turret for the two prototypes. In some photos, these springs can be seen without their casing. They also added a large counterweight to the rear of the turret bustle. The upgunned T26E1-1 was sent to Europe and arrived sometime in March 1945. It was assigned to the 3rd Armored Division, where it was given additional armor by the maintenance crews in hopes of keeping it up to date with the newer German tanks. The regular M26s suffered from a weak mantlet, so an additional armor piece was welded to the mantlet. The additional armor piece was taken from a Panther turret and was about 80 millimeters thick. Also, the front of the hull had two large pieces of metal welded onto it, each 38 millimeters in thickness, with a space between the metal pieces. These metal pieces were sloped more than the hull armor itself. Later on, more armor in the form of ears was also attached to the mantlet plate. The T26E1-1 would be the only M26 model with the T15 gun to see service in Europe. Among the troops in Europe, the T26E1-1 would be known as the Super Pershing when compared to the normal M26 Pershings. Combat records show that the Super Pershing destroyed a total of 3 tanks and captured one after an extended firefight that left the enemy tank out of ammunition. Though it was hoped to have the Super Pershing fight a Tiger II for a head-to-head comparison, the Super Pershing never saw a Tiger II during its tour in Europe. After the war, the Super Pershing was most likely scrapped in a post-war demobilization, as the final images of the tank was it lying in a vehicle dump in Kassel, Germany. The installation of the T15 gun in the T26E1-1 was seen as a success, and as a result, the newer T15E2 90mm cannon was installed in 25 T26E3 tanks, and they were redesignated as the T26E4. An internal hydro-pneumatic stabilizer was installed inside the turret, and the external stabilizing springs were deleted. The new T15E2 cannon used 2-piece ammunition rather than the 1-piece ammo used by the T15E1, when it was found that the 50-inch long rounds made loading difficult in the M26 turret. Later, some M26 models would go on to be upgunned with new improved versions of the high-velocity 90mm gun. Now in War Thunder Arcade, the T26E1-1 Super Pershing is a rank 4 heavy tank with a battle rating of 6.3. It has a 795 horsepower engine propelling the 49.9-ton vehicle to a top speed of 26.6 miles per hour. It comes equipped with the T15E1 cannon. Now I have it assigned to an expert crew with a crew level of 150, which gives me a reload of 13.2 seconds. With a premium account, it has an XP reward of 380% and a silver line reward of 195%. So what do I think of the T26E1-1 Super Pershing here in War Thunder? Well, to tell you the truth, I was actually kind of disappointed in it. As I've been working my way up through the tiers of the various nations, when I got up around 5.3 or a little higher and was able to start facing the Super Pershing in combat with those lower tier vehicles, I had a little trouble dealing with it with its extra armor. So when I actually got it myself, I thought, wow, now I've got a Super Pershing, I'm going to go out and bully some people. But what I actually found out was I was very rarely top tier in this tank. And tanks of the same tier or higher don't have that much problem penetrating this vehicle. So it's more like a less mobile medium tank than an actual heavy tank, in my opinion. However, the gun on the vehicle is really good, and it can deal with most tanks at its tier and a little bit higher, especially from the side. But you will still have trouble with some of the heavier Russian tanks, the IS, not like the IS-2, but like the IS-3, the Tiger 2s, and some of the Panthers at a distance. You'll have some trouble dealing with them from the front, but from the side, no problem. The long reload of 13.2 seconds means that if you get into close combat where vehicles can see you fire and then rush you and stuff like that, you will have a little bit of trouble with that. But this long gun can really do some damage from a nice sniping position. Now that being said, why don't we hop into a game, see what I was able to do with the T26E1-1 Super Pershing. Here we go. Alright, it looks like we picked up Tunisia. I do like this map. I don't like going over toward the city around A. I mostly stay on the western side of the map. So yeah, we'll be taking this western most spawn point. And we'll see how the T26 does in the desert. Here we go. Alright, kind of slow, taking off up a hill. When you get in a flat area, you can get up to a decent speed. But with the extra weight and the extra armor, it loses some of its mobility on rough terrain. Somebody's just machine gunning the heck out of something. Where that's coming from. But anyway, let's see. I'd like to come right over here, shoot over the top of this rock. But first I want to crush this bush so it's not in my gun sight. Let's see, maybe we'll crush this one too. There we go. Alright, oh, what is that? Ah, missed it. Luckily, backed up and he missed his return shot. There we go. There's an IS-2 right through the front. Now there's a T-29 over there. Really need to be careful. Yep. Be careful, because he will have no problem punishing me. But that was a crazy lucky shot right through the lower plate Wasn't necessarily trying for that. I was just trying to hit him, but got super lucky. Let's see, what do we got here? There we go. Alright. Just trying to hide while I'm reloading. I'm going to pull forward. Ease. See if we can see anybody over here to the right a little bit. Don't see anybody. Alright, we're going to make a move. I'm going to go get down in this low spot. It's not that much lower, but it is a little bit lower than the rest of the terrain, which can afford you a little more safety. I mean, somebody might have to aim at your turret versus getting your hull from the side. I did see some red over here, so I'm going to pull up and see what I can actually see. What is that? That was a Tiger 2, I think. No, I guess it's a Tiger 1. Hard for me to see. Had to look on the feed, to actually kill feed, to see exactly what it was. Make sure there's nobody right there. All right. Gotta make sure nobody comes up behind me. Sometimes I get preoccupied and he sneaks up behind me and oh, okay. See around this corner there's some, oh, there we go. And I'd like to give the T-34 a little more help than giving him right this second, but my reload is like, ooh, dang. Okay. It's like stupid slow. Ah. Kind of nervous sitting here. I'm vulnerable to a lot of people, so sorry T-34, I'm gonna reposition. Oh man, good thing I left. Dang, that actually killed one of my crew members and messed my engine up a little bit. Crap. Those were dropped from a fairly high altitude, so they didn't sit on the ground long before they exploded. I'm just going to take a peek around here. See an enemy tank on this side of the bridge here at sea. So let's come up here and take a look. Maybe, oh, I see the red stuff right there. There's the red marker. Hello. All right. We've got friendly units moving in to cap that sea point. So I don't need to do that. We're going to go around this side, so if somebody's across the river, they don't snipe me. Across that open spot. Ooh, what's that? I really don't have any idea what that was. move up a little bit more. Oh, what's that? Is that a flat truck? It is. I really don't have a shot on him. If I did, those 50 cals would mess him up. Going through that. I was thinking maybe he was going through that opening there, but didn't seem to hit him at all. Alright, we're gonna move up cautiously. Still worried that he can pop me from the side. He pops out over there. I'm doing pretty good. I hate to die at this point. Alright. We're coming down. The vehicle clean. And we got somebody right over here. They're probably going to try to cap. Ooh. Yeah, don't do that. Don't try to cap that. Keep an eye on those guys behind me too. What is this? Oh. Ah. Panther. I could push the engagement, but I think I'm gonna just wait and let him make the move. If he comes up this hill, I should have a shot at his lower plate. See what he's doing. Where is he going? Is he coming up? I don't know what he's doing. Oh, he's on the move. Oh no, he was going for the cap. Oh, what is that? What is that? Oh. Let's see. Oh, is that a Super Pershing? Oh, I got that. Dodge this return shot. Alright. Oh! Oh, saved by the bell. Man. Man. But we didn't do too bad. Let's take a look. Alright, let's go ahead. We got First Strike, One Shot, Tank Rescuer, Professional, Shadow Strike Streak, Survivor, Heavy Metal Fury. My results: second place in the team, XP and credits, premium bonus, 8 ground units destroyed, 85% battle activity. So, yep, that guy got first place, but he got a couple of captures. So, yeah, not too bad. Alright, I don't like this shadow that is right across the tank. Get that off of there. It's kind of aggravating. It's kind of a pixelated shadow. But anyway, yeah, the T26E1-1 Super Pershing. Yeah, I mean, a little disappointed with it, but overall it's not a bad vehicle. It's better than the regular Pershing. The gun is much better. It does have the little bit of armor, but you just can't do like I did when I first got it and be all overconfident. Ooh, it's a Superman. It's more like Supergirl, you know. Not that Supergirl is bad, but hey, let's keep everything in perspective. This is basically a medium tank with a little bit more armor, not really a heavy tank. If you've liked this look at the T26E1-1 Super Pershing, hit that like button. If you didn't, don't. Subscribe if you would. But as always, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Nerd out.